Wherever you are listening, wherever you are watching, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for tuning in. How are you doing? How are you? I'm saying hi. This is me coming from a legitimate place. If you've been watching, if you've been listening for a long time, for a while, you could tell that the show's been a little bit stale. It's been a little bit stale. So I wanted to take a moment in the beginning of this show to kind of explain to you what happened, explain to you kind of where we're going, and really rebuild that connection between you and I, James Lane, Big Daddy Patriot, here to inform you, here to entertain you, here to empower you. But I wasn't really doing that, was I? I wasn't really informing you, entertaining you, empowering you. Maybe I was informing you, definitely informing you. I've never lied. I've always told you the truth. But we've been doing this for about 2 years now. I've been doing this for 2 years. I incorporated American Reveille LLC almost 2 years ago. All right. Right when all of this pandemic garbage first started. You know, I'm sitting at home like a lot of you were. Everybody got sent home from work. A lot of people did, at least for a short period of time. I had to go right back in a few weeks, but I was home. I didn't know what to do with myself. And I had all this free time. And I thought, man, stuff's really messed up. And I felt this calling inside of me, something I've been hearing my whole life, something that said that I needed to talk. I needed to say my piece. Maybe, just maybe. I mean, all my life, right? I've been able to talk to people like you. I've been able to talk to people like you. You and I could get together, and for some reason, you'd open up to me. You'd tell me your life story. We'd sit there for hours, and we'd both walk away feeling good about it, right? And that's what I thought I was doing. That's what I thought I was doing. I thought I was building that connection, and for a while we were. For a while, you and I were the best of friends until the censorship started. And that's kind of where I made a very big mistake, right? The censorship started and the feedback stopped coming. You see, I'm trying to view this from an entrepreneurial lens, right? If I just go gung-ho, if I just go patriot, hardcore, to the wall, foot, pedal to the metal, rocking and rolling, I'm just going to disappear, right? That's what they do. I'm not going to make a difference. I'm going to sound like a crazy person. And nobody's ever going to get their point across. All right. Nobody's going to ever have a conversation. Nobody's ever going to hear anything because I'm going to be discounted as a crazy person. So I thought to myself, well, the censorship hit, right? And what am I going to do about it? How can I make this better? And I thought to myself, at least this is what I've been telling myself. All right. This is what I've been telling myself. I said, James, you talk too slow. Well, not slow, excuse me. You talk too fast, right? So you need to slow it down a little bit. Maybe people aren't understanding. Maybe you're ranting and raving. Maybe you come off the subject a little bit. But I couldn't see that. I just kept blaming the censorship. I kept saying, we have to fight the censorship. We have to take out Facebook, Zuckerberg, all those people that put me in a box, that put me in a corner, and nobody puts baby in a corner. But I was fooling myself. Now, there is an element of censorship. I have all the analytics. It shows where the hits went. It shows that we went from tens of thousands of awesome patriots living and loving the American Reveille to barely anything. But there was still enough people to where if I had done the right thing, if I had been honest with myself and I had been honest with you, we would have hit some gold. And that's my fault. We didn't. Because of my insecurities, my lack of ownership. And I'm going to explain that to you really quick. And we're going to do this for a couple minutes before we get into the segments. All right. But this is very important. So just stick with me. Understand how important this is, because it's going to set up the future episodes of American Reveille with James Lane. It's going to set up the future of how we attack the censorship, how we get one over on the left, and how we win this game, right? That's what we're going to do. So here's my issue. All right. I can write my butt off. I can talk my butt off. All right. I have a lot of experience. I've been around the world. I've lived in many different places. I've had many interesting conversations, right? Just like many of you. I have a problem though. I have really bad ADD. How many of you have really bad ADD? Just me and you. I'm looking at you right now, eye to eye, man to man, man to woman, whoever is looking straight at me right in the camera or listening to me. Just imagine my big, bald, beautiful face staring deeply, deeply into your eyes. I have really bad ADD. Do you? Do you understand? Do you know what that's like? I get very scatterbrained. I'm going to explain this. I could be going on and on about a topic. I could be rambling about the most interesting things, the most informative of things. I could be giving you some sort of piece of knowledge that I've stored deep inside of the cockles of my heart that could be very impactful to the way you do business, to the way you operate, to the way maybe you view the left. And then blah, 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 blah. I'm talking and bloop, it's gone. It literally like a sock in the dryer stolen by the underwear elves. My thought can go poof. And literally, I have no clue where I just was, which causes problems because if you're in the entertainment industry, which I'm sitting behind the camera, I'm sitting behind the microphone, I'm talking to you, so I am in the entertainment industry, right? That's a bad thing. That's a bad thing. So to cover up for my insecurity, using censorship as the scapegoat, I started scripting my episodes. Dozens and dozens, 50, 60 episodes, fully scripted, on and off. You'll know which ones aren't scripted. There's no format. It's just me going ba 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 ba. And you'd know which ones are scripted because I sound like John McAfee leading the deep dive expedition of the Titanic, enough to make you fall right asleep. I thought I was doing the right thing, but instead I damaged the authenticity of this show. I damaged the reputation of this show. I damaged our relationship. And I'm here to tell you that I'm a professional, but I'm also human. I made a mistake, but I've learned. I learned from that mistake. I faced the music, and now we're going to fix this together. That's right. You and me. We're going to fix this together. All right. Let me explain. You see, I came up with a secret weapon. That's right. I have a secret weapon to infiltrate, to break through the cracks of the evil censorship that the big tech oligarchs and the government have crushed down upon us with. I have the secret. All right. I gather inspiration from very odd places. Very odd places. All right. I was born in the 80s. Some of you are older than me. A couple of you are younger than me. A lot of you are right around my age range. All right. 36 years old. I do what I can. Listen, I get my inspiration from weird places. A movie that was really near and dear to my heart growing up was the movie Independence Day. Now, if you've listened to the show for a long time, you know I like that movie. I like watching sci-fi movies about killing aliens. Why not? Who doesn't? Who doesn't want to watch Predator? Who doesn't want to watch Arnold Schwarzenegger shooting up? Now, let me back that up 2 seconds, and I'll say this real quick before I go totally off track. I'm talking Arnold Schwarzenegger, 1979, 1985. I'm not talking Arnold Schwarzenegger, full-on socialist with a donkey in his living room, 2021. All right. I don't know who that Arnold Schwarzenegger is. I think he's going to the same dementia doc as Brandon over there, if you know who I'm talking about. But I digress. I came up with this secret weapon while I was watching the movie Independence Day. Now, there's a scene in that movie, and if you remember the premise, you got the alien. Now, spoiler alert, not that I really care. The movie's out in the 90s. If I spoil it for you and you email me and complain, I'm going to laugh at you. I really am. But aliens are coming. Mothership is here. They have static interference. Nobody can communicate with each other. Seem familiar? Nobody can communicate with each other. And why is that? Well, because they've jammed our satellites. As Jeff Goldblum says in the movie as he flips the laptop around, President, they're using our satellites against us. And the clock is ticking. Now, let's fast forward. We get to a part of the movie where they figure out how to take down all of these spaceships. They figure out how to blow them out of the sky. You know, that's, of course, after Russell Case says, "Hello, boys, I'm back," and flies that fighter jet right up the tailpipe of that giant spaceship. That was a great, great part of the movie. But after he does that, they have to get the word out. They can't talk to each other. They can't talk to Israel. They can't talk to Russia. They can't talk to anybody and tell them how to bring down the bad guys. So they have a great idea. What do? They use Morse code. That's right. They're sitting there, tap, 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 tap. They use Morse code. I'd like to think, and you can tell me if you agree with me or not. All right, let me know. Tell me if you agree. You can let me know if you're watching this as a podcast. You can let me know in the comment section below. You can let me know through email, jameslane@AmericanReveille.com. But I want you to let me know what you think. All right? Tell me, what do you think about AM radio being the Morse code of technology, being the Morse code of audio technology, of broadcast technology, right? If podcasting, if live streaming, if Netflix, if Facebook video, if all of these things, if online radio stations are the pinnacle, the peak, 2021, big tech, the huge chimichanga of technology and its pivotal advancement toward broadcast excellency, then AM radio has to be Morse code. The left is blocking our signal. They're blocking our communication. We can't talk to each other. We can't organize with each other. So we have to find another means of communication. And the only thing I can think of is getting on AM radio. So what did I do? What led me to this discovery? What led me to realize that my show sucked? And that I was doing you, my friend, that I was doing you a disservice. Well, like any good boy, any good girl, any good business-minded individual who wants to succeed, who's motivated to succeed, who has children, who look at those children and say, I have to do something. I have to make a difference for this world. I have to be successful for these kids, and I have to save this country for these kids. When you look at that, it's highly motivating. Right? You look at that, you're in that situation. How many of you are in that situation, looking at your children and going, I've got to do something about this country? I know that I am. So what did I do? I started making lists. All right. You can't see it, but right over there on the wall, all right, next to my big calendar, if you're watching, if you're listening, I have this nice big desk here. There's a green screen behind me. I have to upgrade some equipment. We'll get into that in a second. But there's a big map of the United States with pins all in it, like a crazy person would. Pins and all kinds of stuff, mapping out all of the different radio stations. That's right, hundreds and hundreds of radio stations that I had listed out and solicited across this country. I took Excel, I opened a spreadsheet, and I put every single person in there. I put them all down, okay? And I got responses. I did. That's what happens when you solicit. That's what happens when you talk to all of these different people. I got responses. Okay? And what did they tell me? What did they tell me? Well, some started with some kind, good advice, some nice words, some encouragement. I'm not a kid. I could smell that. I could smell it in the air. It smelled like poop. And I know that I didn't poop myself. No, it was my show. They were kindly telling me how bad it was. And then I had a meeting. That's right. I had a meeting with a radio station executive. And that radio station executive told me, James Lane, you've got the name, you've got the talent, you've got the chops, you've got the raw talent, you've got the ability, but you're boring. You're boring. Do you hear that? Boring. You're boring. Your show's terrible. You're doing something wrong. You don't know. And that drove me crazy. It drove me crazy. I didn't know what to do. I started messaging people all over LinkedIn. I messaged station managers. I asked for advice. I bought books. I've got one here called the Radio Producer's Handbook. The Radio Producer's Handbook. It lays out how to write for radio, how to format radio, how to produce for radio. I bought textbooks. I bought all kinds of things. I couldn't figure it out until one person on YouTube left a comment that made it go boom. It made my head explode. Not in a bad way. The light bulb came on. My head exploded because I couldn't realize how dumb I had been. All right. I couldn't realize how dumb we had been. I couldn't. He left a comment that told me to speed up my recordings by at least 30%. It was the nicest FU I could ever get. At least 30%. So they still get quality information. There are people out there that still listen to the show, still enjoy and love this show, and they want the quality information. He said he wants the information still, but if I speed it up, maybe he'd be able to get through it without being bored. And I felt sick to my stomach. I knew I had wronged you guys. I knew that the only way I would successfully get this show on national radio, the only way we could break through the left stranglehold on big tech, on social media, the only way would be by sneaking in through the cracks. And I can't do it without a partner. So I'm asking you, look me in the eye, listen to me. Put your hand out. I'm asking you, take my hand, come with me, be my partner, and let's take them on together. Plain and simple, folks. We can't do this alone. We need each other, and I need you. I promise from here on out, no more scripts, no more garbage, no more nonsense. All you get is nothing but raw energy, raw intensity, the truth, but well planned. Like I said, no scripts. I got bullet points now. We're going to do this the right way, like a real radio show. All right? Plain and simple. Let me take this drink really fast, guys. We're not doing any more editing. We're not doing it ever again. You see, in a couple weeks, we're going to start putting new equipment in here. That's right. I'm going to start putting new equipment so we can go live. That's right. You see, the Sunday morning shift ain't working. People don't like it. We're going to want to go live. We're going to want to do probably a late night show, maybe a little earlier. We'll see how it plays out. It won't be on Sunday. We're going to try random days. We're going to see how you folks like it. We're going to see how you and I go together at different times. And then we're going to take it from there. We're going to put new equipment in. We're not going to have to edit anymore. I'm not going to be doing any post-production. We're going to come straight out live. And once we get used to that, and once we get used to this new format with the bullet points, with different things like that, with the articles, with some highlights, different stuff, but the right format, right? The piece of the puzzle, the mathematical equation to putting a show together. Once we get our timing right, once we go live, we'll start mixing in the soundboard. We'll start mixing in all of the different live sounds. After a couple months, we may even add callers. I may even do an open caller hour, screened, of course. But we're going to turn this into a real, well-produced, well-oiled machine of a show. It's going to be raw. It's going to be uncut. It's going to be you and me together taking on the left.